department. I'll be graduating in 23 days, so there is a countdown going on. I am the JARTU female internship intern for this semester. I started, I believe, right when classes started, so I've been there since about January 15th or so. So I guess I'll just start by telling you where I came from in the program and where I am now. This is my classic, like, day one look, deer in the headlights. I had no idea what I was doing when I showed up. All of the machinery was extremely complicated to me. I had no idea how any of it was going to work, and I was extremely overwhelmed, to say the least. But I'll just begin by telling you why I wanted the experience of working as a female. I'm definitely interested in nutrition. I plan on going to grad school and studying swine nutrition, so I'm really interested in nutrition, how it works, how it gives the animal what it needs, how it makes it grow faster. And I've seen like these labels my whole entire life. You go to the co-op and you get all these things, but you have no idea how it gets in that bag or what all goes into mixing that ration and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted the experience in mixing the feeds. I wanted to know how that works. I wanted to be knowledgeable in talking about rations and things like that. Plus, I'm just that type of person. I want to know how all that complicated machinery works. It definitely is complicated. I'm going to spend a lot of time reading the manuals and things like that, but it's still pretty complicated. But it's really cool to learn how things go in one side, come out the other, and be a totally different product. Plus, let's face it, it's a great opportunity. I just really wouldn't have wanted to pass it up. So this is my first day. These are all of the manuals that I read up on the top. I spread them out all over the desk, and I just had a really overwhelming day. I spent about 4 hours reading manuals. I basically started with the safety information, learned the stuff not to do first, and then started to learn what to do. But if you step into the feed mill, you see all this overwhelming equipment. Yeah, I was definitely overwhelmed. I thought about crying, probably. My responsibilities, this is all the stuff that I do basically on a daily basis. A weigh out, hand ads prior to mixing, those are all the things that you need in smaller quantities that you don't need a whole 50-pound bag of. So we just keep those in little storage totes. You can see them along the wall there on the bottom picture. But those are just things that we take our digital scale and we just weigh out by hand and then hand add into the mixer. And that's me adding a 50-pound bag of something or other into the mixer. I'm operating controls slightly now, obviously with Mark standing over my shoulder, making sure that I don't push the wrong button and screw something up really bad. But he actually doesn't stop me until I'm fixing to screw it up pretty bad. But I also help bag the feed, and I move and store the feed from the feed mill to dump it into the mixer to take it back to the storage room, whatever we need to do. And then there's day-to-day maintenance. Obviously, Dr. Campbell, when I first started there, he was scared. He said, I don't want you to think that I'm just having you push a broom all day, because that's not what this is about. But that is part of the maintenance of the feed mill. It does need to be a clean atmosphere. That way it's not dangerous, because there can be explosions. It's pretty imperative to keep it clean. Plus, we're both just kind of clean freaks, if you want to be honest about it. So I do a lot of that stuff too. So I'll just talk about a couple of my favorite pieces of equipment that I got to work with at the feed mill. My favorite by far is definitely the pellet mill. It smells so wonderful when we're making pellets in the feed mill, because there's steam that has to go into it mixed with the feed, and it just smells wonderful. It just makes for a great day. Plus, it's just a really cool piece of equipment. When you open up the front right here, there's basically a die in there that the feed comes down into it, and it gets pumped out through the die, and then it rolls off of that. It goes down into the bottom through a cooling mechanism, and then it goes over to the bagger. So it's a really interesting process, and thankfully Dr. Campbell has been very patient. He's opened up every piece of equipment just to point out how it works. That way, little me can figure it out and wrap my head around it. But that's my favorite. Second of all, the hammer mill, the loud thing in the feed mill. We always have to wear our earplugs, but it's really a vital part of everything that we do. It helps us grind all of our corn, because that is very vital. It's probably the biggest part of every single one of our rations by far. So grinding our own corn is definitely very interesting. But the hammer mill, I didn't know how it worked, and the day that we got to open it up, it all just sort of clicked for me in my little head. And it's just a really interesting piece of machinery. We definitely have some moody equipment, I guess. We have our sewing machine. I had a pretty bad first week with it, or 2 or 3, but it pretty much breaks whenever you look at it wrong, or if you're having a bad day, it's just going to get worse. But Mark finally got tired of be breaking it, and he finally just sat everything down for about 10 minutes and said, let me just show you how to fix it yourself. So I learned how to fix it, and I can do all of that now, so whenever I break it, it's my own responsibility to get fixed again, to get going. But it's definitely a temperamental piece of equipment. This is our control room. These are the computer controls that you would see if you went in there and just started pushing buttons. Probably wouldn't know what to do, but we have all these computer screens that basically turn different colors when pieces of equipment are running. So it's a good visual way to see what you've got going on. And then there's the control box on the other side that operates our mixer, our scales, and all of the ingredient bins. So those are definitely the most difficult part of the whole operation to understand. You can try to figure out how things come into the building and leave the building, but just flipping a switch doesn't really help you understand a whole lot of that. So that's definitely a really big part of trying to understand what's going on there. So I practiced a whole lot, and thank God we had this thing, I just call it Controls for Dummies, in the control room. It's basically instructions on how to operate all the equipment and how to do everything that I would necessarily be doing. So thankfully we have that in there. It's basically step by step tells me what to do. I mess up. But we've had a lot of interesting experiences this semester. The top one is my molasses barrel that we actually went to the feed mill to go pick up. So I got to see that. Got to see another feed mill. Got to see how they manage their stuff, which was quite interesting compared to ours. This is a dolly for the barrel down on the bottom, that orange thing. And one day, right after we'd gotten that filled up, we were toting that thing around, and it just happened to slip off that dolly, and we both about lost our toes. But it was funny, but it was also very scary at the same time because that barrel was really heavy at the time. But this picture on the right is of our smaller mixer that we use a lot for research rations. This was a day where we had a little bit of accident. This is a 1,000-pound mixer, so we thought we could mix 1,000 pounds in it. We neglected to realize that we had put in 1,000 pounds with quite a bit of cottonseed hulls, which was a little bit bulky, so we had a little bit of an accident, overspill. The machine cut off a few times, but it was a crazy afternoon, but it was definitely a learning experience. There are always exceptions to the rules. Just because something says it holds 1,000 pounds doesn't mean you should do it that way. So you just gotta always think about what you're doing. And the forklift. This was a pretty scary time in my life, and for a lot of the other people at JARTU also, I would suspect. But I did my online training, I did the hands-on training. There was Mark saying, don't back over me, just watch where you're driving. He was very patient with me, and obviously I haven't done anything too bad yet because I'm still driving around on it. So some important skills that I learned in my internship are that all ingredients aren't really readily available. A lot of times we get calls from officers saying, we need feed, we're getting animals tomorrow. That's not always the best plan because a lot of times we have to order that feed. It takes a week to get it in. So planning ahead is really key, and we really like advance notice about some stuff because, I mean, I'm just there in the afternoons, and I know Dr. Campbell's also really busy too, so that's just important. Safety is a must. A lot of the equipment that we worked with is really dangerous, and you probably don't even realize it, but you just can't start opening stuff up with stuff running. You need to lock it out first, make sure the stuff is unplugged, especially on the forklift. One day I was driving outside of the storage room, and Dr. Campbell pointed out, you might want to just like honk on the horn just a little bit because somebody could like walk right into your spike, and that would be terrible. And I hadn't even thought about it. That's just stuff you got to think about. Also, I learned to work smarter, not harder. When I first started there, I was carrying like 50-pound bags of feed between the storage room and the feed mill, and there was just no sense in it. He was like, why don't you just keep that on the pallet and drive the forklift over there and not hurt your back? So I definitely learned to work smarter. I also learned if I'm going to do something, do it right. I was there all afternoon, and there's no sense in screwing something up and then getting in big trouble, having to fix it. So you might as well just take your time, do it the right way, get it done right the first time. But another big thing that I learned was problem solving. He would oftentimes bring me something that needs to be done, ask me to figure out how to do it, and then he'd come back and we would do it. So this day he asked me to basically just figure out a really simple ration, just start board on one, and tell me how to do it, and then he'd be back. So I got a lot of practice doing stuff like that too. Some extra activities that weren't necessarily included that I got to do anyways. be Dr. Campbell organizing a day to have us shown around Timco Female, which is the regional co-op bagging place over in Rockford. It was really educational to see what we do, but done on a much larger scale. They have all automatic baggers, and it was really interesting. They don't even stack their own bags. They have a machine to do everything for them. So it's just what we do times like a million. I was also allowed to go on a trip to Cleveland with Jason to go pick up several commodity feeds for a project for class. So sometimes getting feed is half the battle. That day we had an hour and a half drive each way and had to sit around and wait for a guy to help us load it. We had to weigh in, weigh out, all that sort of stuff. But that's just stuff you have to plan ahead for. It was definitely educational. I shadowed several trips to the Blount County Co-op and Timco Female to pick up ingredients, feed, stuff like that. And then when Dr. Campbell decided he could trust me with his truck, I started to go pick up that stuff by myself. And one of my favorite parts of my internship was being allowed to give tours of the female to other students. And while it's not that I was talking down to them, I think it helped them understand the female's not just this big scary place full of metal. It's a place that they can actually like learn stuff from. So I think a lot of other students feel better about going there now and trying to do stuff there in the future. Research rations. This is a big part of what we've done. We've had a lot of chickens over there. We've had some pigs. We've also had some sheep. But basically our research rations are very accurate feeds that we have to make because they're obviously testing the quality of the feeds to try to get some experimental results of that. So if we don't do things accurately, then it's just kind of a waste of time. So we always use our electronic digital scales, and we always use, well not always, but we use the smaller batch mixers. That way we can put antibiotics in there for poultry, things like that, and not have to clean out our big heavy duty mixer. And they can easily be cleaned. You can just pick them up with the forklift, take them outside, clean them out, all that sort of stuff. So my thank yous would be to Mr. Aaron Fisher. He suggested an internship prior to me even knowing about it or getting the email about it. And he knew that it matched my interests, so I really appreciate him keeping me in mind about it. Dr. Bobby Simpson was instrumental in the creation of the internship, and we know that it wouldn't be there without him. He was supportive and great to communicate with the whole time. He was supportive even when Hesley and I traveled to Texas for other ventures. He was always there for us, encouraging us. But most of all, Dr. Mark Campbell was so patient with me this semester. He knew that I had absolutely no idea what he was talking about. So he would just stop for 30 minutes and he would pull something apart, that way I could understand, and keep talking to me until I did understand. And I know that there were days when he was having a bad day or whatever, but he always had a really great attitude, and we've done a lot of stupid stuff, like stuff that we just make fun of each other about, but he's always been there and just given the right amount of guidance. So, are there any questions? Yes.
So what was your biggest surprise? What were you the least prepared for?
Oh, least prepared. Probably just those controls. Those are just hard to wrap my little head around. But I've gotten plenty of practice with them lately. But just trying to figure out how all those controls work, and what steps you logically go through first. Turn on the vacuum system before you turn on the mixer. You start the system before you ever put anything into the scale. Like just getting that whole list of how in the right order that you do things. That's been my hardest battle.